Howdy YouTube family, it's Bolt RN coming to you again with another day's topic. Today, I wanted to talk to you guys about how this past semester's gone. So I've got a lot of requests about how first semester of CRNA school goes and kind of like my normal schedule and what to expect when you're starting CRNA school. So I figured I would start out with kind of how my normal week goes. Monday through Friday, you usually have class, or if you don't have class, you're probably going to have an online hybrid type module you'll end up doing. So usually Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we're in class between 1 to 3. And then Thursday, we usually have class between 8 to 12, and sometimes 8 to 12, and they give us break for lunch, and then we come back and we have class from 1 to 4 or 5. And then Friday, usually we get together, a group of us, and do like a study group and go over our week's material, and usually spend sometimes up to 6 or 8 hours in a study room kind of like this one, just hammering the material, going back over what we've learned. So even on your free days, like when you don't have classroom, you will probably still be at school doing some kind of work. So usually on Mondays, I will get up in the morning, maybe 7:30 a.m., and I'll pull out my notes from the week before, and I'll start going over my notes. And usually for anatomy and physiology, this semester that's been our major heavy hitter course is anatomy and physiology. It's a lot more difficult than what you're used to having from your undergrad. So I review that for about 2 hours, and then I will go to the gym and I'll get in some exercise for about an hour, and then I'll come home, eat lunch, shower and stuff, go on to class and have class from 1 to 3. And then after 3, I'll go straight to the library and I will review over the material that we talked about in class, usually for about 2 or 3 more hours. And then I go home and I put my books away and I'm done. So essentially after 5 or 6 p.m. I am home free. I get to watch TV, play video games, and kind of enjoy the rest of my day. So that's my typical schedule Monday through Wednesday. We have that same anatomy class every day, 1 to 3, Monday through Wednesday. And that's my normal schedule that I keep the whole week, Monday through Wednesday at least. Then Thursday, we have that class that kind of can run from 8 a.m. all the way till that afternoon. Usually on that day, I don't go to the gym. I don't do extra studying. I just go to those classroom settings because you're exhausted by the time you're done with that day. So I'll just go home at 4 or 5 o'clock and just relax that day. Friday, like I mentioned before, usually is a study group day. Sometimes it's 3 or 4 hours. Sometimes it could be up to 8 hours. And after, of course, that studying, I don't do any extra schoolwork when I go home. I go home and I just do something I enjoy that I like. Then on the weekends, now this is where I differ a little bit from some of my classmates. I typically don't do much studying or much work on the weekends. Usually my classmates, if you polled our whole class of 29 students, you'd probably find I might be the only person in the whole group that does not study on the weekends. I will on rare occasions. If there's a big test upcoming on Monday, I'll study for an hour or 2 on Saturday, or maybe for like 30 minutes on Sunday, but I usually just take the weekend off. I don't study, I don't do that work. I have decent grades. My grades are like a B, kind of average grades. If you want to be an A student, you're not going to be able to not study on the weekends. You will be studying, you'll be making graphs, you'll be spending 8 to 10 hours on Saturday and Sunday, reciting your slides from your PowerPoints. You'll be doing all that extra work. So it just depends on which kind of student you want to be. The other 2 classmates that you'll see here in a moment, both of them are more of like striving for an A type students, and it's their schedule on the weekends is packed, usually with a lot of studying. So that's what my typical week looks like. Oh yeah, but I didn't want you to think that the schedule is all just going to class, studying all day, and boring, life. We do get to have some fun. Of course, I like to go golfing and tennis, and disc golfing is something I've learned this semester for the first time. So all these things are great things to kind of intersperse in between your study sessions, so you get a little bit of mental health along with your academic learning and you don't go crazy. Another cool thing we got to do this semester is go to a TANA conference, which is the Tennessee Association of Nurse Anesthetists. Every state's going to have their own association, and as a CRNA student in each state, you're going to come together. It's at least once a year. And you get to go as a class. When you're a student, you all go as a class. And this year we went to the Nashville area, and we all got to stay in this really cool hotel, and it was kind of like a bonding experience for a lot of our classmates. We got to go out to dinner together at night in the city, And during the day, we got to sit into conferences with other CRNAs and political figures and get to learn more about the professional aspect that you're transitioning into, transitioning from your role as an RN into being a CRNA. And you start learning a lot more about the political things that are filled with the CRNA atmosphere. And I'll make a video probably in the future about more of the politics that go along with CRNA, but just suffice to say, there's a lot more than you would realize until you get into it. And we did have one class called Professional Aspects of CRNA that was really interesting this semester. It was more than just the typical chemistries and biochemistry stuff that we learned in our other courses. It was more specific information about what it's like to be a CRNA, the legal aspects with malpractice and stuff that you'll face as being a CRNA. You look into kind of the drug addiction side of things that is actually shocking that you'll find out 1 in 10 CRNAs have a problem with substance abuse, which is I think it's the highest out of all professions to have that kind of numbers for substance abuse. So you start learning more about the practical life of being a CRNA, some of the depression rates, and you'll find out that as an SRNA, you are more likely to deal with depression problems than even medical students statistically. And that's going to be related to the high intensity, high stress level of your program and how much work you're going to have on yourself. There is a suicide element to that as well. That's kind of the unsightly side of things. So they kind of teach you in that class how to take care of your health and wellness, how to take care of your mental health. They encourage you to de-stress, to go have fun with friends, find things. You may not have a lot of fun time that you have to spare, but they want you to make sure and find some of that time. And if that's a spiritual thing for you, like going to church, I like to go to church on Sundays, and my spiritual side of myself is an important part of that mental health for me. But other people, it might just be simply hanging out with their friends or their family. So you do a lot more of that stuff in first semester too, kind of learning how to transition into this new role that you're in. That's really how this first semester's gone. It's been a whirlwind. It feels like we just started the other day and now the semester's already finished. And from all the upperclassmen from second and third years have told me that the rest of the program's going to go the same way, and it flies by. It's really difficult. You will be challenged in a way that you didn't know that you could even be challenged, and you'll be humbled in a way that you didn't realize you could be humbled. But it's all for the better of you, and they kind of break you down to build you back up to who you need to be. So I'm looking forward to next semester. It's going to actually get harder. They say next semester is even harder than this semester, so we will see how that goes. I have interviewed 2 of my fellow classmates, Mia and Caleb, and you're going to hear from them in a minute and their perspectives on how this semester went and some of their advice that they might have for fellow SRNAs or people who are trying to get into CRNA school.
Hey future SRNAs, my name is Mia.
I'm Caleb.
And today we're going to answer a few of your questions, questions you may not have known that you had, that Jason wants to answer for you. So we'll start with the first one.
So what I wanted to ask you guys is, how did your first semester of CRNA school go?
Okay.
Well, it was good. I would say that the first semester is a lot of foundation material, so you'll be learning your anatomy and physiology, you'll be learning your writing skills, how to write APA format, how to research, just some valuable skills that you'll use later on. The program we're in is, what's it called? It was front-loaded.
Okay, front-loaded, yeah.
So we take a lot of classes and we don't have any clinical experience the first couple semesters, so we're in class online and in classroom, learning fundamental A&P physiology. You have anything to add to that?
About your experience, no, but I do have my own.
Okay.
You know what I'd like to ask Caleb? I think a lot of nursing students have probably taken A&P 1 and 2 and microbiology, all kinds of sciences, and you're saying we take this A&P again in this graduate program. I assumed it would not be that difficult because I made A's in those undergrad classes and it went really easily for me then. But how was your experience differing from this A&P versus the A&P you took in undergrad?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that's what most people wonder about before they go into CRNA school, but I mean, they step it up. It's detail-oriented. You're studying every day. I mean, I probably spent 4 to 5 hours a day studying anatomy and advanced anatomy and physiology. Would you say that's about right?
Oh yeah, and I was going to interject when he mentioned maybe making A's primarily in your undergrad courses. You kind of got to readjust your thoughts and your planning with that. Maybe someone who didn't have to study too much before, now they kind of have to dig in those books a little bit. And that may be more of the difficult process, a little bit for myself and others in our program. It's just finding a way to go from, I could kind of breeze through and just listen, to opening the books and spending hours outside of classroom time to teach yourself some extra material and just dive into what your future career is going to look like.
Yeah, you really have to take the initiative too. I mean, you're not spoon-fed things anymore. There's a lot of self-teaching, expounding upon stuff you already know, maybe from clinical practice, but dragging it back into detail-oriented stuff like different proteins and amino acids and on the cellular level.
Yes. And even with that, so you have some nurses who may have had 4 to 8 years of experience possibly before coming back to school, and there's some others who may have only spent a year and a half, or maybe 2. So they're still kind of based on that book knowledge, right, where they can explain the amino acid process and all those things to you. And then you have others like myself who have been a little more seasoned. So when it comes down to clinical information, how things may work, that's where I can come in. So study groups like this guy right here and Jason behind the camera is part of the group that I associate with, and we're all just helping one another. That's a big part of it. And speaking on the experience, that's one of the things that I've loved most with this first semester is the fact that I found some people who I can study with, and we can all just kind of help one another.
Yes, I think that's important to find a group when you get into CRNA school who can help you along, and no one is an island in CRNA school. No one can do it on their own, and to get through it, you have to have your support group.
Absolutely.
So what would you say, Caleb, would be your normal Monday through Friday kind of week now that you're not working a job, you're in school all the time? What could people expect who are going to come to CRNA school? What would their normal schedule be like?
That's a good question. They should expect to work. They should expect to have a normal work week, just not at the hospital or whatever their work was at before.
So
but
academic work, not
academic work, and you got to have a schedule, and you've got to be disciplined. You need to set your alarm, get up when you get up, and go into work, wherever that's your office, if it's a library, if it's somewhere on your campus. Plan on studying, going to class, eating lunch, studying some more, going home, studying some more, and then I would say I usually would wrap up my day around probably 7 p.m. and then I'd be done for the night. But it's pretty long days. It's just like work days, and you don't get weekends off. You work weekends and holidays, unfortunately.
True. I guess you almost do just treat it like a job, like Caleb mentioned. I know for me, I had to figure out in the beginning my plan for my online courses. Since I didn't have to physically show up every day, I needed to know, okay, from 8 to 12 on Mondays, I do my online coursework. It's when I go in my office and I just go at it, versus the other days that we actually spend coming to campus. I've seen some other people in my class kind of struggle with that. So when I'm studying for anatomy, now they're trying to throw in an extra homework assignment from an online course. So I think just knowing your everyday plan is important. Not so much so that you follow it to the exact minute, but if you have a plan, you're more likely to execute it. So that's very important. Whatever works best for you and your family and life comes with it.
And I do think you need to have stuff that you enjoy to do too. Like for me, that's sitting down watching sports or doing something with friends, playing golf, like every once in a while. You're not gonna be going doing something fun every day, but if you do, something fun every once a week or maybe twice a week, that is very helpful, I found.
So you've been good at balancing.
Yeah, you've got to, you don't have a lot of time, but you've got to do something to get your mind off of school, or else you're just gonna go crazy.
Yeah. If you guys could give one big thing, point of advice to new people trying to get into CRNA school, what would your advice be to people coming into CRNA school, or what could they expect to help them when they get into CRNA school?
What can help them once they're accepted into the program?
Once they're in, when they finally get in and they're started in the program, what would you say they really need to do to be a success in CRNA school?
I've heard you kind of mention some good points to others before. I'll let you take the lead on that.
I would say that you should simplify your life. Cut out all the distractions and really think about what's most important to you, and kind of think about how you're going to do this, what kind of stuff you should keep in your life, the kind of people you're closest to, you know, keep your relationships tight, but cut out the distractions. And
so when you say distractions, I just want to be clear. What exactly do you mean by that? You mean like don't get a dog, or
well,
what do you mean by distractions?
That's a good question. Let me think about this.
I know when you've talked about it before, you kind of mentioned relationships. Maybe, you know, if you're dating, you don't have to date 10 people at once.
Break it off. No.
I heard you tell someone else that was considering getting a pet, like maybe this isn't the best time. Things of that nature.
That's true, that kind of stuff. So part of what I would say would be that make it very apparent to the people around you, the people you're close to, how much work this is going to be for you, how much strain it's going to put on you, how much is going to be expected of you. That way they're not going to be calling you, texting you, expecting things from you that you can't give, and then it's just going to make it difficult for you because you're going to want to go do things with people and you just don't have the time, and you have to say no. You have to learn to say no to people, like a lot, like the majority of the time.
Right.
And that's difficult, and it's difficult for you, but it's more difficult for you if the people in your life don't realize that it's a lot is going to be expected of you. So
because they don't. I mean, a lot of people don't understand.
Oh no.
What you're doing.
No,
and
not
how
at
much
all.
It takes from you. You know, even the mental aspect. Sometimes I'm just tired. Like I don't want to talk on the phone. I don't want to text everyone back. Just I had a mentally exhausting day, and those who have either walked in the same shoes or just like really on my team, they understand that. But some of those extras that we may call distractions, they don't, and so they kind of just pull at you a little bit more. And depending on how stressed you are, you may you may let them know they're doing too much as well. But
Yep. Another thing I would say too would be to be able to kind of decrease your budget and live a little simpler life in that aspect, because most people aren't going to be working. I don't think I know anybody working and doing CRNA school in our program. So that would put a tremendous strain on you, and you don't have the time for it, so most people don't do it. So
and there's reasons why they advise you not to.
Yeah,
you definitely need your me time, your alone time, whatever that looks like, or what I call like my downtime. Like, yeah, we may study together, but then when we're done studying, I want to have fun with you guys, and I enjoy that. That's how I kind of keep the balance.
Yep, absolutely.
So what would be one thing as you look back after your first semester of CRNA school, would you think you've learned during this last semester, and what kind of surprised you that you didn't think you would learn or know as you finished the semester?
I think one of the things that I would say that has been a challenge would be you can really put in the time, you can put in the work, you can study, and you can still not get it, whatever it is you're trying to learn. You may still do poorly on a test, but what you have to learn is to make the most of your time and learn material in a way that's going to help you be successful on a test, and not just memorize things, but actually learn it. And sometimes you may be thinking you're learning it, but you're not really learning it, because you go and take a test and you're like, ooh, I didn't know that. I did not know that. But you'll learn pretty quick, like, the way you need to study to get things the way they need to be for the test.
Yeah, I believe you continue to adjust to whatever's kind of coming before you, whatever that may look like, whether a teacher is going to ask you questions a lot differently than the one before him, or whatever it looks like. I know for me, I was surprised that I could study so hard and not receive the grade I thought I was worthy of. But you just keep going. You remember your why of why you're doing this. You think about, what your future is going to look like when you're done. You think about a lot of things, and you just know that the next day when you wake up, you don't have to be who you were yesterday. It's a new day, it's a new start, and you just keep pushing on. And I know for me, getting into school, a big part of it was my faith life, and I'm glad that was built, because I've needed that more than ever now, just for strength and endurance and just encouragement, all those things.
Another thing I would add would be that there's so much competition leading up to CRNA school. I'm sure there's some people that are still trying to get into CRNA school, and some people that have been accepted and are wondering what it's going to be like. But everything up to the point where you get accepted is competition, and once you start, that competition is over. Like, right. You need friends. You need to make friends with the people you're with. Like, stop competing. It's over. Like, just help people.
It goes from competition to connection.
Yes,
Now we're in
absolutely.
this together because one day you're going to be my future colleague.
And one day I'm gonna be putting you to sleep.
Are you?
Yep.
Well, guys, it was so nice to maybe answer some of your questions and get to talk to you. Thanks for listening, and good luck with everything.
All right, so we got the chance to hear from Mia and Caleb and their perspectives and opinions on things. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I look forward to updating you guys, and if you have any questions about further things you want to know about first semester or anything else about CRNA school, just hit me up in the comments below. Bolt out.
Hi, Jason's YouTube. What is this, Blue Bolt?
Okay.
They're gonna be like, oh,
Welcome, blue ball followers.
Watch them do behind the scenes bloopers. Now, honey, don't be off on my chair. You know I don't like that. I'm in the South. I may say that during the movie.
Jason said it's colder out here than a.
Which is to you in a brass ball. I ain't never heard that.
No.
That is a good one. You got to use that in Huntsville.
When we're on the veranda, we don't talk about that.
It's
Oh, he done rubbed his nose so much. Now he actually has a
No, you can't.
You
Sorry.
got a booger now. Don't go away. You got to watch.
Is it filming?
I can't work in this environment. Let me see. Hell, look, come here, real quick. Now he done rubbed on the top of his nose. Why do you have to pick the special friend?
Why am I laughing?
Don't hold back. I hope this is recorded. This is what I have to deal with when I do study groups with the boys.
This is it.
And today I have the pleasure of working with.
I'm Caleb.
That's it?
That's
Okay. Okay.
cut.
Okay.
Thanks, Jason.
Cut. What's it called? Front loaded. Front.